let's go. Me get cheese off the mud. So the first thing we did was we wanted to get our trig ratios up. Second thing we want to do is we want to label our triangle. So the first thing we want to label is our hypotenuse, because it's consistent. It's always the longest line in our triangle. Then I like to label our adjacent, because adjacent means next to. So it's the line that is also touching our angle that isn't the hypotenuse. And then our opposite is the line that is opposite our angle. Okay, so we've labeled our triangle. And then we need to think about what we have. Let me just use a different color for this. We need to think about what we have and what we want. Okay, who can tell me what we have? Nukabonga?
We have the hypotenuse. And the adjacent side.
Good. And we want theta. Okay, so we have A and H and we want theta. And if we have A and H, Nokabonga, while you're on this, let me just call on you again. Which trig ratio do I want if we have A and H?
We want the cos.
Good, we want cos. We want this middle one. Okay, so we're going to write that in. We have cos theta is equal to adjacent, which is 5, over hypotenuse, which is 13. Now, the most important thing here, and this, because we've been dealing with angles, your brain is set into angles, and so it feels much easier now. And it gets a little bit more complicated later when you have to switch between the two. So it's really important to think about what you're doing. We're looking for theta, or Peter, as some people in this class like to call him, but we're looking for theta, which is an angle. Okay, and when we're looking for an angle with trigonometry, we always are going to use shift on our calculator every time. If we are looking for an angle, we're going to use shift, and that's an important thing to just keep in your mind. Okay, and so now when we get to this point, we're going to put into our calculator shift cos. Let me write it out in case anyone has forgotten. Shift cos, and then we're going to put in this fraction in the brackets, 5 over 13. And so in your calculator, it should look like this, cos to the -1, 5 over 13. Okay, so shift cos 5 over 13, and we get the answer of theta is equal to 67,38 degrees. And that degrees is really, really important because you're telling me that you understand that it's an angle. Okay, cool, well done. Nice job, guys. 2 thumbs up from me. Okay, so we're going to use this concept of finding angles and using our calculator, but we're going to incorporate it in a slightly different way. So, trig equations. We're going to start with something nice and simple. The most important thing with a trig equation is that you want the trig ratio and whatever's next to it. Sometimes it'll be a bracket and sometimes it'll just be an angle. You want this guy to be isolated. Luca, can I help? Oh, good, I'm glad, Fabian. Okay, so that's what you want isolated. And I want you to think of it as the same as if you were looking for x. Okay, so if I gave you an equation that looked like this, 2x is equal to 1, how would you solve for what x is? What would you do? Don't overthink it. If I want to know what the value of x is, what's the value of x? Zanele.
You would make 2 jump over to 1 and change it to be 1 minus 2.
Okay, careful. I'm not adding 2. So if I had x plus 2 is equal to 1, then I would absolutely do that. But because it's being multiplied, I have to do the opposite of multiplication. And so I'm going to have to divide by 2. But you were on the right track. I'm going to do the opposite of what it is. Okay, so I'm going to divide by 2, and so therefore x would be a half. Okay. So if I'm looking at this question over here, the first thing we're wanting to do is, because we're trying to isolate what I've highlighted in green, right? And so the first thing we're wanting to do, like Elise was saying, is we want to divide by the coefficient. So in that case, we were dividing by the coefficient of x, which was a 2. Now we're dividing by the coefficient of sine. It's the same thing though, okay? So we're going to say this side divided by 2 and that side divided by 2. Those 2's land up cancelling. And so we have sine theta is equal to a half. Now when we get to this point, when this is completely, oh, goodness gracious, when this is completely isolated, so there's no number next to it, there's no number under it, it's isolated as it is, then we can go into our calculator. So at this point, we can move into our calculator. And now you would do the same steps as you would have done previously. You're going to say shift, sine, a half, and in your calculator, it will look like this. And you will see that theta is equal to 30 degrees. So everyone give it a try on your calculator. Make sure you understand how you got that 30. And that would be my answer there. Mahal, how can I help?
Ma'am, wouldn't you, like, when you get to the part where you have sine and theta on the same side, since we're solving for theta, wouldn't we move sine to the other side?
I'm really glad you asked that question, because that a lot of people do that. We can't. These guys are bonded. They're like soulmates. They have to be with each other. If they're not with each other, neither of them exist. So the angle is nothing without sine, and sine is nothing without an angle. So sine only exists if an angle is attached to it. It's like a very codependent, unhealthy relationship. They have to be with each other. So every time you have a trig ratio, cos, sine, tan, whatever it is, there has to be an angle connected to it. It can't just be by itself. So we can't separate them. Simon Kelly. Kelly.
Ma'am, can I ask you to re-explain the steps for the trig equations, because I did not understand it.
Which step? From which point?
From the beginning, ma'am. I got here late, so I didn't understand.
Okay, so we're going to be doing quite a few of these, so I will explain as we go along. I'm going to move on to the next one, but you should be able to catch on from the next one. Don't panic, okay?
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. All right, cool. Let's go. So in this question, my first question to you is, where are our bonded soulmates? What am I trying to isolate in this equation? I know it looks a lot scarier, but it's not, I promise. Luca, can you tell me where my soulmates are? I've lost Luca. Nokobonga?
Cos theta.
Good. Okay, that's what we're trying to isolate. Okay, so I want you to think of it as a normal equation. I'm going to help you. I'm going to talk you through this one, but we're going to kind of work through it together. Okay. If this was a normal equation, so for example, and you can sort of write this on the side as you start working while you're getting used to trig equations. If that was the equation you were working with, what would be the first thing I would want to move over? Good, guys. Good. I'm wanting to move that 2 over. Excellent. Okay, I would want to move that 2 onto the side. So I'm going to keep my 4 cos theta, and I'm going to move my 2 onto that side. I'm just writing out every step here. Obviously, if you guys can see the 3 minus 2 is 1, you must just write 1. I'm just writing every step for everyone in case anyone was unclear. Okay, so 4 cos theta is equal to 1. I'm just going to keep highlighting the part that we're wanting to keep isolated. Okay, so now we're at the point where we would have had 4x equals 1. How would we now isolate our cos theta? What would we need to do? Zandisile.
Let me divide both sides by 4.
Excellent, well done. Okay, I need to divide this side by 4, and I need to divide that side by 4. So now I get cos theta is equal to 1 over 4. And so now I'm at the point where my soulmates are by themselves, which is exactly what we want. No one wants to be with that clingy couple. Okay, they must go to a room by themselves. It's very uncomfortable for everyone else. So here we have cos theta is equal to 1 over 4. Now I'm looking for theta. I'm trying to find that angle. And so when we're looking for an angle, we can go straight into our calculator. So you're going to say shift cos, fraction 1 over 4, close that bracket, equals, and I see some great answers coming through. You will see that theta is equal to 75,52 degrees. Beautiful. Great, guys. See, Lisa, how can I help?
Sorry, ma'am. I have a question. You were
Sure.
talking about soulmates, and I do not understand the soulmates you were talking about.
It was just something that we said earlier because someone asked if we could divide by cos and we couldn't. And so the cos has to stay with the theta. The sine has to stay with the theta. You're welcome to think of it as it is mathematically, which is the trig ratio. So sine cos tan needs to stay with his angle theta.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Sure. Cool. Let's try another one. Oh, sorry. Hi. Yeah. Can I help?
Ma'am, so after step 2, right, when you move the 4x plus 2 and then you move the 2 to the end, that makes it a negative 2. And then we get to dividing. We're going to divide by a common factor, right?
Yeah, what we were dividing by was this coefficient.
Oh, so ma'am, any equation that you give us, we're going to divide by the coefficient all the time.
Yeah, if there is a coefficient, we're going to want to divide by it.
And then if there is no coefficient, we find a common factor.
No, we're not factorizing here, so we don't need a common factor. So if there's no coefficient, we just don't have to divide by anything.
Thank you, ma'am.
Sure. Okay. Now we get into something a little bit more interesting. Don't worry, I have questions which you will work entirely by yourself with. These are just introducing all of the different ideas so that when we get the other ones, you'll be okay. Luca, question?
Ma'am?
Yeah.
I think we are going to say theta minus 20 equals to 10 to the power negative 1, 0,465.
Okay. Okay. So let's start working through this and then we'll see how we go. But thank you for answering. So when we're having a look at this, now it's a little bit more confusing, right? Because we don't just have an angle anymore. Now we've got tan and we've got this whole brackets, but there isn't a coefficient, there isn't a denominator, there isn't anything underneath, and there isn't anything plus or minus. Okay, so we don't care what's going on. So if we're having a look at this whole thing, the trig ratio with the whole bracket, they're not divorced. They've got a child in the picture now. Now the child is also with them. All three of them are now together. That's a whole collection. That whole thing is bonded. We can't separate them. Okay. So when we look at this, Now, when we put this into our calculator, so don't panic. I know that this looks new. Some of you have done it in class, so it's not scary. If you haven't seen it before, I can imagine how scary it must look. Don't panic, okay? The same way that we would have looked for, if I just had, let me just do it like this. If I had tan theta was equal to 0,465, okay? You would all very happily say, cool, shift tan 0,465, and then you would know what theta is, okay? We're going to do that exact same thing, except that's not going to tell us what theta is. It's going to tell us what this bracket is. It's going to tell us that whole bracket. So what we're going to do is we're going to say shift, then we're going to say tan, then we're going to say 0,465, and we're going to push equals. That's our first step. So shift tan 0,465 equals. Nokobonga?
Oh, ma'am, I just wanted to say the answer.
Oh, yeah, sure. What's the answer?
24,94.
Beautiful, and you rounded up beautifully, which is great. Okay, so we're going to say, I'm going to start stressing this now because it's going to affect you later. Because our final answer isn't now, we're going to keep more than 2 decimal places. We're going to keep 4 decimal places until we get to our final answer. Okay, and it doesn't affect this question, but it will affect the ones later on where we multiply and divide. So we're going to say, instead of theta, we're going to say theta minus 20 degrees is equal to 24,9384. Okay, now our soulmates are separated. Shame.
Degrees, ma'am. Degrees.
No, they've had a very ugly divorce. They separated. Shame, it's happened. Okay, but it's because we've already used our calculator. Now I'm trying to just figure out over here what theta is. So all I have to do now is move that 20 over. Now, the important thing is you'll be like, well, why didn't we just move that 20 over earlier? And we couldn't, because we first had to find out what tan of that angle was, and then we could move it. Okay. So now theta is going to be equal to 24,9384 plus 20, which means theta, and now I can round it off to 2 decimal places because my final answer is going to be 24,94 degrees. And that's my final answer. Okay, so the important thing to take from this question, yeah, the sign of 20 changes. I just didn't add it. The sign of 20 changes because it's jumping over the equal sign. Monica, how can I help?
Ma'am, can I please ask, here you added the 20, why don't you add it to the calculator and get a final answer?
We can't add it to the calculator because when we're looking in the calculator, we're not actually using theta. We're just saying that tan of an angle that we don't know is equal to 0,465. And then we're saying, well, this whole angle is equal to 24,9384, which means just theta would be 44.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yes, ma'am.
Rafilwe, how can I help? You need to unmute.
So, ma'am, I was trying to ask if, like, how do you put the 20? Because I've been calculating, and then do you also transact the 20 to be a plus? Because when you transact a negative sign to the other side, it's going to be a positive. But then I don't know what's happening after the shift 10, 0,465, and then the lower part I don't understand.
Okay, so when we put this into our calculator, when we say shift tan, we're saying, hold on, let me draw you a little triangle. Okay. So imagine that this angle over here is not theta. Imagine that that angle is theta minus 20 degrees. That's what that angle is. Okay, so if I was working through this in the normal trig ways, instead of just writing theta, I would have to write theta minus 20. So this whole angle here is theta minus 20. That's why it's in brackets. Let me get rid of this highlighting. This whole angle is theta minus 20. Okay, and so when we put it into our calculator, when we do this step over here, and we're saying shift tan 0,465, we're saying that this whole angle over here is equal to 24,94 degrees. That's what that whole angle is equal to. All right. But if I want to just know what theta is, then theta would have to be 20 more than that because I'm minusing 20. So now if I want to just know what theta is, I'm saying, well, theta minus 20, so this whole angle is equal to 24,9384. And I only want to know what theta is. So I'm going to move that 20 over, which is why I'm plussing it, which means theta must be 44,94. Because if I put that angle there, if I had 44,94 and I minus 20, I'm going to get 24,94. That's what this is meaning. I hope that that's cleared it up for a couple of you. I see some hands have dropped, so I'm hoping it has. Kedusizi, I don't think I'm saying your name right, and I apologize. How can I help? And can you say your name properly for me so I don't mess it up next time? Oh, sweetheart, I can't hear you.
Yeah. Good, you see, if you can just check your mic settings, please make sure that your mic is actually an audio that you can speak into. So make sure that you're able to speak. So you need to look at your mic, click on your mic, you'll see 3 little dots, and click there and make sure that the input for your mic is the correct input. And then you can just put your hand up again so we can help.
Or feel where I don't know how that's happening. I know that Coco and I aren't doing it. It might be that your connection is kicking you out, but we are not kicking you out. So, okay. I'm actually going to miss that one just because it's a little bit different and I want us to focus on things like this for the moment. Okay. Same idea. Exactly same idea, except now I'm just not plussing or minusing. And now I've just got sine 2x is equal to a half. Okay, so who thinks, actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to let you guys try this one by yourselves first. So I want you all to give this a try. Give it a go. Give it your best go. See if you can tell me, oh, I've said theta, but it's an x question. Let me just make this theta so that it's more accurate. So I want to know what theta is. Try your best. Duka.
Ma'am?
Yeah.
We are going to say 2 theta equals to arc sine 1/2.
Yes, great. That's a great start. Zandasile?
Ma'am, I got 30.
Okay, good. I'm not going to tell you if you're right or wrong just yet. I'm just going to give everyone a chance. But
Okay.
okay. Oh, load shedding at 7. Okay. I think we figured out last time that you can't do a quiz again. So if your load shedding is going to hit and you're not going to have time to finish the quiz, then maybe you can do the quiz after load shedding. I don't know if that helps, but just in case anyone's there. Okay, I'm going to talk you guys through. So we're going to do the same idea. We're going to do shift sine 1/2, and that's going to tell us what 2 theta is. So think about our triangle again. We're saying that this whole angle here is 2 theta. Okay, so, and if it's sine, that means opposite over hypotenuse. That's basically what we're looking at if we had it as a triangle. So we're saying 2 theta is equal to shift sine, so shift sine, fraction 1 over 2, close that bracket up, and you should all get 30 degrees. Okay, so everyone should have been able to get to this point over here. And if you didn't, that's also fine, especially if this is new. So 2 theta is equal to 30 degrees. But I don't care about what 2 theta is. I want to know what just theta is. So if I want to know what just theta is, I need to divide both sides by 2. So therefore, theta is equal to 15 degrees. Tlalefo, can I help?
Hi, ma'am. Can you please repeat what you said?
Sure. So if I was looking at this triangle over here, I've got 2 theta, my opposite would be 1, my hypotenuse would be 2, which is basically what this equation is just telling me. So if I put into my fraction, into my calculator, shift sine 1 over 2, that's telling me that 2 theta is equal to 30 degrees. So if we put into our calculator, shift sine 1 over 2 equals, that's telling us what this angle in that bracket is equal to. But I don't care what 2 theta is, I care about what theta is. So I'm going to divide that by 2, which means theta is going to be equal to 15 degrees.
Thank you, ma'am.
Guys, I'm just going to quickly zoom down to our puzzle for the day. And then I'm going to give you some questions to work through before your quiz. It's not a horrible puzzle. It's a nice puzzle. Let's see if Lisa Kanya can still be the winner today. Oh, Nokobonga, you're right. I haven't drawn happy faces in so long. I forgot. I will continue to draw happy faces. Owami, yes. You're on mute. Okay. Are you focusing on the puzzle, I think? I want to know what my final answer is. Nadia.
The first one is 3 times 3 times 3.
You're helping people, Nadia. I just want to know what this question mark is. Guys, Nadia's given you a big help there. So you can thank her. Yeah? Nadia? Oh no, disappeared. Yes! Nice! Well done. Guys just zoomed in there. Awesome. I'll give you a nice one before your Easter weekend. You see it was Easter themed. I don't know if anyone picked up on the Easter theme. Okay, let's quickly go through it, but I'm seeing lots of nice answers coming in. So our first one is 3 times 3 times 3 is going to give us 27, which means this dude's 3, that dude's 3, that dude's 3. And so 52 minus 3 is going to give us 49. And so the tulip times the tulip needs to be equal to 49, which means each tulip must be 7. So 7 minus 3 is 4. Which means our basket of eggs is 4. So 3 times 4 is 12. 12 minus 7 is 5. And let's do a happy face for Nokobonga. We'll do the party hat version. Yay! I just worried my happy faces are starting to look a little bit creepy. But yes, yes, well done to everyone who got there. And if you didn't get to the end, but you managed to get halfway, that's awesome. Okay, let's jump into some equations. I'm going to let you try these ones by yourself now. Sorry, this cos has separated, but it is cos. It's not co-s. Not creepy. Okay, good. Okay, so now what I've done here is I've combined everything into one question. So I want you to think about the first steps. I'm going to try and break it a little bit for you just because it's the first one and tell you that that's your first goal, is to isolate just this. So that's our first goal, is that we want to isolate that. Then we want to go into our calculator, and then we want to figure out what 2 theta plus 30 is. Claire, for yes, how can I help?
No, ma'am, it's fine.
Okay. Okay, seeing some answers coming. Coco.
I'm just saying, I'm a genius. It doesn't matter I'm not in grade 10.
But Coco beat you. So now you know. Let's see how these go. Just keep it one step at a time. I don't want to rush you. Too easy. I thought I was giving you something nasty here. Okay, I'm going to start with just the beginning parts, and I'm just going to isolate that blue bit. Okay, so I've got 4 cos 2 theta plus 30. And I'm going to move that 1 over. And so 1 minus 1 is going to give me 0. Okay. So that 1 minus 1 is giving me 0. Now I want to divide by that coefficient of 4. So I get cos 2 theta plus 30 is equal to 0. That's our first step. Our first step is just isolating this guy over here, the cos 2 theta plus 30. So how did we feel about getting to that position over there, to getting the 2 theta plus 30 being isolated? Lokabonga, yeah?
I did the exact same thing, but I didn't write the 0. I didn't think we should write the 0.
You definitely need to write that 0. That 0 is very important.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah, but now we know. Now we know.
Guys, can we get like a thumbs up or a thumbs down just to see how you guys feel about getting to this point?
Yeah, that's a great idea, Coco.
Very easy. Mohau tried 3 times and got 3 different
0, 30, 90. At least they're all multiples of 3, so that's cool.
Nkateko got a maths error. I think Nkateko may have said 4 divided by 0 instead of 0 divided by 4. And that's why we could possibly get a maths error, I think. Oh no, it's Yamo. Okay, we're getting mixed feelings.
Yeah.
Oh, and he thought that the theta was 20. Oh my gosh, guys.
Okay, so this is our first step over here. So all we've done to get to this point is we've just isolated. Okay, so we've just gotten to this point. Once it's isolated, so only once it's isolated. Okay, so once it's isolated, we move into the calculator. and we put whatever this is over here equal to what we get in the calculator. So 2 theta plus 30 degrees is going to be equal to, and on this side, what we're doing on our calculator is we're saying shift cos 0 equals. Okay, so in your calculator, shift cos 0 equals, and you should all get 90. So that's equal to 90 over here. So everything in that bracket is equal to 90 degrees. Now, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get theta to be alone. So the first thing I want to do is I want to move that 30 over. So 2 theta is equal to 90 degrees minus 30 degrees, which means 2 theta is equal to 60 degrees. I want to know what theta is, so I'm going to divide both sides by 2, which means theta is going to be equal to 15 degrees. Okay.
No, ma'am, 30 degrees.
Yes, it is. I was reading Tabile's answer when I was writing, and I saw the 1 and the 5, and my brain was like 1, 5. 30 degrees. Fabian, how can I help? Did we lose you, or are you lost for words? I don't know which one it is.
Hello.
Hi. Yes, we're here.
Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes, I can.
Okay. I can't hear you. Hold on. I think it's.
Okay, Fabian, I'm just going to go to Mahal's question so long while you sort out your sound, okay? Mahal?
Ma'am, can you please explain what happens after dividing by 4?
Okay,
On
so when
both
we get to
sides.
this point over here, once we've isolated the cos with its brackets, that's when we move into the calculator. Okay, so all we're saying in the calculator is we're saying shift cos 0 is equal to 90 degrees. And so that whole answer there, that's, oh, sorry, that shift cos 0 is 90. So we're saying that that's equal to 90. So now we're saying everything in that bracket. So think about it as our triangles as we've been drawing. Okay,
Yes,
so
ma'am.
we're saying that this whole angle here, so 2 theta plus 30 is equal to, and it was cos, so it would be adjacent over hypotenuse. Okay, and so we're saying that whole angle here, this whole angle on the inside is equal to 90 degrees. But
Okay,
I'm
ma'am.
now wanting to know what is just theta. So then I move my 30 over, and then I divide by my 2. And so I find out the theta is 30 degrees.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Fabian, do you want to try again?
Hi, ma'am. I got it. That's what I wanted to ask.
Okay. Okay, cool. I want to try one which has got a few different concepts in. Let's try this one. Because we don't have, I think we're only going to have time for this last one tonight because it's our quiz night. So, or maybe we can sneak in another one. We can be sneaky. I know time just disappears in our lessons, guys. It's like we go into a time vortex. I don't know what happens. Okay, helping hand. Oh, it's just, I want to get nice. Okay, helping hand is I'm wanting to isolate that. So think about the first thing we need to do in order to isolate that. Rafilia, yes, how can I help?
So, ma'am, the last one, I wanted to know about where we had to divide by 2. I know that when you divide the other side, you have to divide the other side, but then I don't understand how you do it, because it was 20. Oh, it's not 20, it's 2.
Not 20.
I forgot.
Yeah.
Sorry, ma'am. Sorry, ma'am.
Oh, it's okay.
Thank you,
it's
ma'am.
okay. It happens to the best of us.
Yes, ma'am.
Mahal, yes.
Ma'am, I was trying to take a screenshot, ma'am. Can you please just like for a second, ma'am?
Go back.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Oh, on that note, guys, the lesson notes that I promised, I misunderstood. I thought that I was supposed to give you guys the lessons at the end, the lesson notes at the end of the lesson, but it's going to be coming onto the website, but not just yet. So that was why you didn't get lesson notes in the end. But eventually, what it will look like is you'll have, like on the website, you'll have the lesson video, and then you'll have the notes of that lesson as a PDF, and then you'll have like a quiz. So it's coming. It's just going to happen in time. I didn't forget about you, is what I'm trying to say. I just misunderstood the instructions. Yeah, I'm seeing some good starting points here. Because it's an equation, the first thing I want to do is I want to take that 2 up over there. So cos 2 theta minus 10 degrees is equal to 0,091 times 2. That's our first starting point. Now, as soon as this is isolated, you're going to jump into your calculator. Nokobongo, yes.
Ma'am, I wanted to ask, because I multiplied like the whole equation by 2. I multiplied cos bracket 2 theta minus 10 by 2 and got 2 cos 2 theta minus 10 over 2. And I multiplied the 0,091 and I got 0,182. So
Totally fine. If you multiply this by 2, oh goodness, what if you have if you have a 2 there, that's totally fine. These 2's just land up cancelling. So you'll land up with the same thing I have here.
oh, okay. Oh, didn't see that.
It's okay. Okay, so now we're going to jump into our calculator. So in our calculator, we are going to say shift. And if you're in class, your teachers may be using the terminology arc. So arc cos, arc sine, arc tan. I'm just not using it because not all teachers use it, and I didn't want to confuse people who hadn't heard it. But if your teachers are saying arc, that's just what we're doing at this point over here. So shift cos 0,182, and you're going to push equals. So shift cos 0,182 equals, and remember this isn't our final answer. So we want to write all of our, well, not all, at least 4 decimal places. Okay, so now we've used our calculator, and we're going to say 2 theta minus 10 degrees is equal to 79,5137. Just keep on thinking about what this would look like as a triangle. For anyone who's a visual learner, so I'm a visual learner, so if anyone is like me, then sometimes you just need to see a picture of what the question is saying. This is saying that that whole angle that we care about is 2 theta minus 10 degrees. Okay, that's what that's saying. And so when we use our calculator, we're saying that this whole angle that we've just used in our calculator is 79,5137 degrees. And now we want to find out what theta is. Pamelo, can I help? So next step is I want to move this 10 over. Now, when it jumps over the equal sign, it's going to be plus 10. So I'm going to have 2 theta is equal to 79,5137 plus 10, which is going to be 89,15137. Rafael, where are you getting lost, sweetheart? I'm going to divide both sides by 2. And now it's my final answer. So now I can round off to 2 decimal places. And I'm going to get 44,76 degrees. That's going to be my final answer. Well done. Nice. For those of you who got it, I'm really, really proud. This was a tough question. You can't find the second answer. Find the second step is confusing you. Second step as in the second step here, Rafael? You can just say yes or no. Tato, can I help? Okay, from there down. Okay, so once we've isolated it from here, as soon as the trig ratio is isolated and it's equal to something, that's when we go into our calculator. Okay, so the most important thing is we know we're dealing with cos. So we're going to say shift cos, and then we always put in whatever the answer is on the other side. So shift cos 0,182, and that gives me 79,5137. That's telling us that everything inside this bracket is equal to 79,5137. So 79,5137 is equal to, think of this as, this is your bracket, 2 theta minus 10. Then we're trying to solve for theta. So we're going to add 10 to both sides, or add 10 onto the other side, then divide by 2. And we get our glorious answer. Now, unfortunately, our time has completely disappeared. And I need to pass you on to Coco so that she can take you through how to get onto the quiz for this week. I just want to remind you, well, I'm glad you're feeling. I just want to remind you that once you've actually logged into the quiz, you don't have to stay in this call while you write the quiz, because we can't help you with the answers, because that defeats the point of the quiz anyway. So once you're in the quiz, you can leave. Just stay here if you're struggling to log in, especially if you're new and you're struggling. Okay, but it's been a lovely lesson. I love having you as always. I hope you have a beautiful long weekend. I will see you again on Tuesday, and I'm going to hand over to Coco to help you with